Ciao, jewelry makers. I'm Joey Balistreri, and this is one of the most exciting days of the month. I have been waiting for my curated bead box to arrive. So this is the December box. It is called Treasure Chest. You get a little sneak peek with this box on the thumbnail, and I have already unboxed it. The list of what is in the contents is on the outside of the box here, and I have already noticed that one of my 6 millimeter strands of beads has been substituted. So I've put everything out on my work table to do a really quick unboxing. This is a value box and it's a really great price. But they do put always a disclaimer here on the label about the bead sizes and types may get substituted, which happens to me quite often, and this month it did. But it is a wonderful box. You get very long strands of beads. Generally, they're round beads, but they have started giving us some really beautiful, unusual shapes. Like one of the bead mixes this month were these faceted barrel beads. And then in the bead mix, there were two bead mixes that had this one I just love. I mean, this has so many earring possibilities to me. And then there was one in this more gold color. So it's a mix this month of gold and silver, including these little spacer beads, this little Celtic knot spacer bead, which we received in gold and silver, and some round spacer beads in gold and silver. So you always get a findings pack, which includes head pins, jump rings, lobster claw clasps, some bead stringing wire, usually 7 strand, and some memory wire in bracelet size, and stretch cord. This comes every month. This month, this findings pack is in silver. Sometimes it's in gold. But the really unusual thing this month, for the first time ever that I can remember in all the years that I have been receiving curated bead box, they gave us a package of extra large memory wire, necklace memory wire in this box. And it's coincidental because about 3, maybe 4 weeks ago, honestly, I can't remember, but I'll try to link the video below. I did a really wonderful, elegant project using the extra large necklace memory wire. And it is a fast project, really easy, beginner friendly, don't need a lot of skills to do it. So if you have not seen that video, go and watch it. It would be a really fun thing to do with this. But I have another idea for this memory wire. So maybe that's going to be a separate video, because when I looked at this month's findings, we even got a little extra finding. These can be used for earring hoops, but they are also great for the wine glass charm holders, so that everyone has a little marker so they don't mix their glass up at a cocktail party or a soiree, or a little gathering or dinner party. So I have not made wine charms, wine glass charms, for so many years, and I saw this and thought, I think it's time to revive that little project. So I think I'm going to do that with this. And then you always hear with curated bead box that it's a great stash builder and that it's great for beginners. And that is true. But the other thing that curated bead box is great for, because it's not expensive gemstones and Swarovski crystals and check glass and that sort of thing. It is beautiful glass pearls and crackle glass and beautiful glass beads. So this box is fabulous for home decor projects. And that's what I am going to do with mine this month. So I'm going to sort of clean up my mat, pull out the things from the box that I plan to use. I know that I will be using the gold and silver spacers. My project that I have in mind could have really used the 6 millimeters. So mine were substituted. It looks like my other crackle glass were substituted for a larger size, but that's okay. I know I'm going to be using this, and I'm not sure if I will go for these pearls, possibly. So I'm going to sort out what I'm doing and show you my design idea and show you how quick and easy this is, and what I'm going to do with my curated bead box for December. I organized myself and chose the beads that I wanted to work with and made my pattern and got to work, as you can see. And so, yes, you see a whole bunch of bows with little beaded rings on the back, and these are napkin rings. So I love that this month they mixed gold and silver, because I found these beautiful napkins that have a gold and silver thread in them. And I was just thrilled. It was a set of 6, and they are actually Laura Ashley. And so I thought they were just beautiful. So I will put up some pictures of how I plan to set my table with a gold charger and these napkins and these beautiful beaded napkin rings. So we did not get just plain pearls in this curated box. So I pulled some 8 millimeter glass pearls from my own stash. And I also had these large hole beads from my own stash. But honestly, there are plenty of large hole beads in this month's box that could be used. And you can actually take this design and not do the bow if you are not a bow person. I am a bow person, and I really could put a bow on everything. But you could do a simple ring with a bead pattern. I even looked at the beads and even considered just doing a random pattern. But in the end, I like the more formal look of the set worked out pattern, and I really love the bows. I just love them sitting on the top of a beautiful napkin fold. So I did a set of 6 for myself. I've got 5 of them done, and I was going to save the last one to do along with you. But I just want to say again, you can take this idea. I used the stretch cord that came in the curated bead box this month and made almost the same thing that we do when we do a stretch bracelet, with a simple knot, some GS hypo cement, and a beautiful bead pattern. So I will show you how I did the bow, but you can absolutely take this design idea and do a napkin ring with the stretch cord and change the embellishment on the top. If you don't want to do a bow, or you don't have these supplies in your own stash, you could do any number of things for the top. You could string a charm onto these napkin rings, almost the way we do a bracelet. You could create a wire wrapped dangle. We got so many beautiful large beads in this month's box, so you could create a dangle that could hang on the front of every napkin ring. The sky is the limit with the design idea, but I'm going to show you how I did this. I started with about approximately 10 inches of 20 gauge wire. And the thing I had to check and make sure is that the beads that I'm making my bow out of, actually, these are glass beads and they're just craft store beads. So I just had to make sure that the wire fit through the hole. And so what I did was to string on 8 pearls to make one side of the bow. So my total bow took 22 pearls per napkin ring. So if you're going to do this and you know that you want a set of 4 or a set of 6 or 8 napkin rings, you just have to count your pearls in advance so that you don't come up short on supplies for this. But as always, with any design, you could modify this. These are 8 millimeter pearls, which makes the bow a little bit larger. If you wanted a smaller bow, you could scale down to 6 millimeter pearls. Um, you can completely alter this design. And I did 8. I had a lot of these pearls in my stash from years ago, and I did 8 pearls on each side of my bow because I had enough to do that. But you could do less pearls if you want the loops on your bow to be a bit smaller. So really have fun with this. So what I did to get started is just get 8 on my wire like that, and leaving a little bit of a tail. So if you look at your 10 inches of wire, you're leaving about 5 inches on this side that you haven't worked with yet. And that worked out pretty well for me with this. And I used my finger, whatever I needed to do to get it started and make that loop of my bow. And then, it's a little bit to hold on to because the wire does want to bounce away. bounce out of my hand. So I'm just grabbing it, and I want to make sure those two pearls meet up, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a twist. And so now you can almost see the bow forming. So I used my large hole bead next to string both pieces of wire and put it right up to that pearl. And then I'm just going to give this one the direction of down. And this one, I'm going to string 8 more pearls onto it, same as the other side. Okay, once you have the 8 strung onto the other side, just going to do the same thing, create a really pretty bend, being careful not to put a point or a kink in my wire. And on this side, it's a little tricky, but you're just going to back it out enough to feed this wire through that center bead. And you may even want, if you feel like you don't have the strength, you may even want to get your pliers in here. I did that on a couple of mine just to pull it nice and tight in there. And then you want to anchor this side as well. So we twisted the first side, but this side I'm just going to bring that wire around once or twice, just so that it's secure. It doesn't have to be really, really tight for these because they really stay together. And also, I want to wrap this side around too. So, before you start putting the beads on the two little tails of the bow, just make sure you're happy with the shape of your loops and that both sides are nice and secure, and then we can finish it off. So on my design, I use the same pearls, and I didn't want these to be too long, but I did want it to have the shape of a nice bow. So I did 3 pearls, and then I pulled out from the bead mix a couple of little crystal beads just to finish it off. And I am going to do both of these at once, which seems a little odd, but I just want to cut the wire, the tails of the wire, to be the same length. So the spirals that I'm going to make as the bead stoppers, they'll both be about the same size. I mean, they are napkin rings, and if they don't match exactly, at least for me, I was happy with it. I think on a napkin where each one is on a different plate, I don't think that those little differences will make a lot of difference. This is a really fun project and not like other jewelry that we make. So these beads from Curated Bead Box really do make great home decor beads for home decor projects. So I'm just going to do a typical little spiral, just get it started with my round nose pliers. And I go ahead and do this one too so that I don't lose my beads. And I like my bent chain nose pliers to make spirals. And I'm just going to bend it, spiral it all the way until it meets my little row of beads. And that is a really good way to also tighten it and get that nice little shape, and then do the same thing on this side. This project was really quick and fun and uncomplicated. I enjoy doing these napkin rings so much. And, when I was growing up as a little girl, my mom loved beautiful table setting things. And she had a whole collection of napkin rings and placemats and cloth napkins. And it was something that we actually did nightly, even for just a regular family dinner. So that bow is finished, and now we just have to make the ring part. So I used the elastic cord that came in the box, and it's a nice thick good elastic cord that comes in the Curated Bead Box. And I went ahead and strung my bow onto the cord first. And while I'm doing this, I'll just talk to you a tiny bit about the measurements. So I had enough for a set of 6 napkin rings with my pattern. And what I'm doing, I cut around 7 inches per napkin ring. And, I'm pre-stretching a little bit because they will get stretched as they go over the napkin, so we don't want them to break. And for the length that I chose to make my napkin rings, I had enough in this box to do this. And I don't know about you, but I know that when I get the curated bead box every single month for years now, I don't always make stretch bracelets or use the elastic cord. So for me, if I wanted to add another 2, 4, or 6, I have the elastic cord to continue adding to my set of napkin rings. So the pattern that I decided on was to use the small beads, and I just strung one on each side. And the reason that I did that is because I didn't want to have anything too big right behind that large center bead with the large hole. So let me just get this one on and I'll turn it over and kind of show you. So I started with the smaller beads. If you can see there, it's my just so that my ring is laying behind the bow nicely, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, let me turn one of these over so you can kind of see where I'm going with my pattern. And you can get a bead bug or some kind of a stopper if you want to do this, but it's such a small amount of stringing. I did not do that. I just was careful not to pull it pull it from the other side. And the pattern that I came up with was just to put one of these gold spacers. They are almost like seed beads. Sometimes they're a little bit difficult to get a hold of, but I put one of these gold spacers in between the alternating 6 millimeter, 8 millimeter beads that I chose. And as I said, this is the pattern that I came up with, but you guys could just use your own creativity, do each one different. Or I did start out thinking that I might just do a random mix with the beads and just create a bunch of rings. But at the end, I did like the formality and the elegance of having just a simple pattern and having them all the same. So that's what I decided on. And I'm just going to do a little bit on this side and then lay it down and switch to the pattern on the other side because I want to be able to hide my knot inside a bead at the back of the napkin ring. So I did it this way. And really, these crackle glass beads, even the 6 millimeters, have nice large holes. And these, I think these were 8 millimeter, maybe, or they 10 millimeter beads. They also have really nice large holes, and even these gold spacer beads have really big holes. So any of the beads you can easily hide your stretch cord knot in. So that's the good thing about this project. I was able to make my knots just completely disappear. And I knew to stop my pattern when I had 4 of the larger beads. And I think I'm almost there. I have one more to add on this side. These little beads are so pretty. They really, that little presence of gold going around the back of the napkin ring is just lovely. I really like it. Let's see. I'm talking and getting lost in my pattern. Let me put this. Let me put that on and see. Oh, I didn't actually need that extra one. Okay, so I'm just having a look to make sure my pattern is the same as all my others, and it finishes here in the back. And I am not going to do a complicated knot here. I pre-stretched my cord, and I'm just going to do a surgeon's knot. Just wrap that around twice and pull it really nice and tight, and just give it an extra knot as well. And I always put my GS Hypo Cement on a thing like this. And as I said, it's really easy to hide the knots in pretty much any of the beads in my pattern. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on that knot, front and back. Just make sure that it's covered really well. The lid on my glue, and now I'm just going to pull it right inside this metal spacer bead. It doesn't want to go in that one. Let's see about this one there. That one, it went right inside. See, it went right inside that bead. And now I can just come in and cut those little excess things away. And that beautiful napkin ring is finished. And I had a ton of beads left over. So honestly, you could make a lot of these. If you were having a large dinner party, that would be beautiful. But I did a set of 6 and they are here. And I'm going to do my Laura Ashley napkin rings. And let me take one more out of the, the little collection here and just show you another really nice way to fold a napkin ring. This is a lovely home decor project. I have this beautiful set of 6 napkin rings, beaded and easy to put on and off. And I've already tried them on a few different napkin folds. I think the fan is my favorite, but you can also do something really simple, like just a little gather and pull it through the ring. And I think the length that I got with my pattern is just perfect to use for many different folds and designs. So I really hope that this was fun and inspiring for you guys to do something with your curated bead box this month. And you know, the amazing thing about our jewelry skills is that our skills, our supplies, our tools, they can very easily transfer into other types of projects besides making jewelry. I find that all the time, that I use what I know in jewelry to do so many other things around my home and in my life. So I really hope this was fun and inspiring for all of you. Since I have home decor on the brain, and really this month's box is perfect for home decor, and as I said earlier, we have these wine glass charm rings in the box, and I haven't done these in a while. So if you guys are ever reading the comments, I'm sure you have seen my friend Dale. She is so creative. She is a wonderful seamstress, and she has been incredibly supportive of my work. And she watched this video that I did on the Tutti Frutti jewelry, and she said to me, those would be so perfect as wine glass charms, and then each person would know if they had the grape or the strawberry or the orange. And I absolutely love that idea. But I also had another idea just because of something that I've had in my supplies. I bought a set of these letter charms from the craft store, and I hadn't used them. I've had them for a really long time. And I was thinking how lovely and elegant that would be if you were doing a family dinner or you invited people, a group of friends, and you know everyone's name, to have a monogrammed or initialed wine glass charm for each one at the party. So I'm going to show you how I did this, because there was only one little thing that which you probably would have figured out on your own doing this. But we get so many beads in the curated bead box, and I had plenty of beads left over of the ones that I used for my napkin rings. So I decided to make these sort of matching and mixing the gold and silver, just like I have in my Laura Ashley napkins. And so what I had to do, because I wanted to string beads right on it, is just take my pliers and straighten that little bend out. I know there's a lot of things on my work surface maybe competing for your vision, but I just had to straighten it out a little bit in order to string beads directly onto this wire. So I just created another little simple pattern that coordinates with my napkin rings. And then I'm going to string on in the middle of the pattern one of my initial letters, and I put this one on backwards. It doesn't really matter. It's going to move around. And it is that simple. You could make these really quickly for a hostess gift if you were invited to dinner at a family's house. And as I said, if you have, the people in your family, or you have a group, like I have a group of Central Florida beading ladies, and when we have our get togethers, I know who they are. This would be so great. Now it won't be a surprise because most of them watch my videos, but anyway, all I had to do was take my pliers and really gently, so as not to break it, just straighten this out and then string on my tiny bead pattern and my initial, and then the charm is ready. It is that simple. And so I just have a wine glass here, and they just go on the wine glass. Set it down so I can put it on. They just go on the wine glass like that. And it is just so lovely and so welcoming for the people that you're serving. And it's a really sweet gift. It's been around for a long time. It is not a new idea, but sometimes great ideas are just fun to revisit. And it's definitely been a long time since I made these. And it's just really a fun, relaxing project. You can play with your stash and use the leftover beads. And as I said, I had so many beads left over from my home decor project this month with Curated Bead Box that I thought this would be a really fun idea. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed this. I wanted to put this little bonus project in for you. And I'm going to sit and make a few more of these. Since I did a set of 6 napkin rings, I'm going to make a few more of these lovely wine charms. Thank you for watching today, everybody. I hope you're having fun on your beading mats. Ciao, jewelry makers.